I am very happy to be here with Bruce Edgerly, co-founder of Backcountry Access, aka BCA. Um, First of all, welcome back to Mount Crested Butte. When were you here last?
I was here probably 5 years ago when my daughter was in the junior free skiing comp.
Nice.
Yeah,
How'd she do?
she got second place.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so it's awesome.
I think the other important thing to say is that everybody keeps coming up to me at this Blister Summit asking if I've skied with you yet. Because they're like, Bruce shreds. And we haven't yet. We were supposed to meet up today at noon. This was my fault. I was out with a different group. I don't know if you actually showed up at noon.
I was still touring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I didn't blow you off.
No, good.
But I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some turns in. But I'm not kidding. People are like, they keep asking me, have you skied with Bruce?
Are you sure it wasn't another Bruce?
Yeah. I think it was you.
Right on.
Impressive and props. And I look forward.
I'm still not as good as my daughter.
Okay, fair. Well, I'm looking forward to trying to keep up. Hopefully tomorrow. So.
Well, one cool thing about Crested Butte is we basically launched our first product here.
Is that right?
Yeah, in 1994, we launched our Alpine Trekker at the U.S. Extreme Skiing Championships. And, yeah, we've got great memories of this place.
Huh. 1994, the Trekker.
The Alpine Trekker, that's our first product. Yeah.
Tell me more about that. How did you get involved in that process? And you just thought, well, we'd like to walk up mountains and we'd like to not do that in tele gear?
Yeah, we were kind of fed up with tele gear, and my business partner, who I co-founded the company with, Bruce McGowan, had seen these mouse traps in Switzerland called the Securafix that you could stick into your alpine bindings so you could climb uphill on your regular like race gear and then high performance skiing on the way back down. Yeah. And so we just made a better version of that. And it was very well timed with the whole free skiing revolution. And we kind of targeted the whole free skiing movement. And that's why we launched it here.
That's awesome. In fact, I think in the next couple of days, I'm going to be part of a celebration, 30th anniversary celebration of the Extremes. So this is very cool. Thank you for connecting the dots for me here. But okay, so that gives us a good introduction to Backcountry Access, 1994, the Alpine Trekker. But I think it's time for us to fast forward, 28 years, my math, 28-ish.
Yeah.
And let's talk a bit about some of the products that, well, some I think are brand new and going to be coming out. Maybe some are in line, but talk to us about some of the BCA products.
Well, the one we're really excited about, we're actually excited about all of our products, but the newest and the raddest new product that we have is the Float E2 electronic airbag system, which is a kind of a higher end version of our existing compressed air system, Float 2.0. And the difference is that it has a supercapacitor, which powers a fan that blows up the airbag instead of compressed gas. The benefit of a supercapacitor is that it can be used in very cold weather with no compromises on performance. There's the opportunity to have multiple deployments in the field if necessary. We don't necessarily advocate getting in multiple avalanches, but sometimes you can snag the trigger on a tree branch, or these things happen. And also, probably the most important is that you can practice with it, and all you have to do is recharge it. You don't need to go get a refill. And of course, you can travel real easily. You can go through the TSA checkpoints with no problems. It's fully TSA approved.
Yeah. Some massive benefits here. And I would just be curious, do you have a sense from data, in the field or surveys, can you kind of repeat some of those benefits of this or kind of rank them? So if you were to say, what is the most important benefit in your view, or things you've learned from field studies or the like, where would you go with like the number one thing?
About supercapacitors,
Yeah.
I would say the number one thing is practice.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I would say a close second is hassle-free travel.
Yep. And the hassle-free travel, I mean, sometimes with products, right? Like it's like invent the product you yourself want, you know? And sometimes you go and you get data and through surveys that is a common uh, feature that people want, or you've seen that it's a reason people are not buying Avi bags because you can't travel with them. Do you have a sense of that?
Oh yeah, we believe in product development from the debris pile up is what we call it, rather than from technology down. And we did extensive surveys when we were trying to come up with the next generation of our airbags. And the surveys came back, basically what's most important to people is price, dependability, reliability. But then number 3 was airline travel, which seemed to be very important to people. That and multiple deployments and being able to practice. So yeah, we had something like 2,000 respondents and a lot of course, feedback from our athletes, ambassadors, retailers, and our staff.
Yeah.
We're probably, we have a pretty knowledgeable group of sales and marketing people that are getting out all the time, and product development people, of course.
Yeah. And the multiple deployments for the sake of practicing, it's, I think, a really good thing that there has been maybe, and please correct me if you think I have this wrong, but it does seem to me that there has been more emphasis placed, more messaging placed on like, don't just have gear, practice with your gear, take refresher courses and the rest, get out with beacons, practice doing beacon searches. Does that feel different to you? Like we are saying that more as a community of backcountry skiers?
Well, yeah, I mean, a good example would be our beacon training parks. We can't make enough of them. I think all the ski areas have seen the demand for these things, and there's so many people taking avalanche courses, and they drill that into you. So yeah, we try to make practice as easy as possible for people, and that's one reason why we decided an electronic system would be a very consistent thing to do for our brand, because we're all about ease of use and practicing.
So let's drill down a bit more on like your specific pack, right? What else should we know about it in terms of size ranges or features or the like?
Well, we've got 2 sizes coming out, 25 liter and a 35 liter, and each one of those volumes will have torso size. So we have a small medium and a medium large. So we'll have a wider range than we do actually with our Float 2.0 on sizing. And we have a bunch of nice colors, as you can see. We're also making a snowmobile version called the Float Turbo 25. And then I would say that, the key features are A, the supercapacitor. B, the materials are really very durable and lightweight. We have a single layer polyurethane coated ripstop nylon, which really seems to be holding up to the testing we've been doing. I would say that also our removable straps are kind of nice, because we found that carrying skis creates a lot of wear and tear on packs. So you'll see that we have 420 nylon on the sides where you might carry your skis, and we have removable straps. So if you cut through your straps for some reason, you can replace them with ski straps, regular ski straps. This side stash pocket is my favorite feature. This basically is an entry into the bottom of the pack, because the engine sits right here, and below that is a space that can be underutilized in other systems. So what we did is we made this side stash pocket where you can get in under the engine and access things on the fly while you're skinning. Like if you hydrate with a water bottle, for instance, you don't have to stop, take your pack off, drink it, put it back in. Or if you're doing laps, like we like to do, just rip your skins Rather than sticking them in your jacket or you're taking your pack off and sticking them in there, I just shove them right back here and go. Side stash, and you get in it from both sides.
Both sides.
Yes, the zipper goes all the way around the pack to the other side. And you can't do back panel access on an airbag because the engine is in the way. So we've done everything we can to make it incredibly easy to get inside the pack with this curved zipper and the side stash compartments.
Anything else about zippers or getting into the pack?
Well, we have another zipper that we call the backstash zip, which enables you to feed your radio cord. Let's say you use a BC Link radio or some other radio with a remote speaker mic. You don't have to disassemble the radio anymore to get it into the pack. You can just slide the whole thing in behind the airbag compartment and into the shoulder strap. Same with a hydration system. If you use a hydration system, you can just slide the bladder right in through this zipper, goes behind the back panel, and then the hose and bite valve go into the shoulder strap where it gets zipped in and kept nice and warm.
So this pack, is this a situation where you think this technology is eventually going to become the norm? Or do you think there will still be a world where there will be supercapacitor packs, there will be canister options? Do you see this sort of replacing canisters and other options out there, or will there be multiple systems to head into the backcountry with?
I think into the foreseeable future, you're going to see several tiers of systems, and compressed gas will be the most affordable, and it's also very well proven. You got to admit the electronic systems are still pretty new. They're still kind of on probation with consumers. I would say the supercapacitors less so than the battery-powered ones, which have been through some recalls.
Yeah.
But the supercapacitors, I think, are the future of the industry. We see it as kind of similar to the bike industry, where there's two components systems you can buy out there. We kind of see it the same way here. You got compressed gas, and you got the electronic systems. Most likely supercapacitor is going to take over from the battery-powered systems.
Can you say more about that? Battery versus supercapacitor? How is a supercapacitor powered?
Well, a supercapacitor is basically a power storage system that is based on electromechanical energy rather than a battery, which is based on a chemical storage system, and there's a chemical reaction that releases the energy. Ours is a magnetic release of energy, so that's unaffected by temperature, and it's also very fast and powerful. Supercapacitors are used for things that need a lot of power very fast released from the storage, like for instance, some of the new snowmobile starters, the shot starter from Skidoo. That's a supercapacitor.
What else should we know about this pack before we move on?
Well, I tell you what, this pack is more mature than any other backpack we've ever developed. We went through, I think, 9 rounds of prototypes.
Now we're talking just the pack itself, not the engine, not the supercapacitor, the pack itself.
That's right. The engine we get from All Pride out of Switzerland.
Yep.
And several other companies are also offering the All Pride system. So when we launched this development project, we knew that we were going to be competing with some of the top pack makers in the world, and we needed to make an exceptional pack. So we believe we've accomplished that. We spent a lot of time, a lot of prototyping, a lot of samples out to people in the field, and we're extremely excited about it.
Can we talk a little bit about weight? I want to talk about weight and price. And, as you were saying that, this will not immediately or in the foreseeable future become the only system out there. probably has some things to do perhaps with weight and price.
Yes, most likely price. The price for this system is, depending on the size, roughly $1,300. And there's other electrical systems out there that are even more expensive. The weight is very comparable to our existing compressed gas system, and we have the second lightest system out there. So 2,800 grams on the Float E2 35 liter, which is 6.1 pounds.
Not that anyone cares about, pounds, but
No.
sure.
Unless it's, you're measuring other things.
Yeah. Jab at blistering consistency. Yeah. We're yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a harmonic convergence of weight, price, ease of use, and reliability.
And when will these become available?
These should be available next fall to consumers. Right now we have a few samples that we're sending over to Europe for certification, and we're getting out to our athletes, ambassadors, product testers, and ourselves, of course.
Yep.
In fact, I'll be taking this very bag up to Mount Carlisle Lodge in British Columbia next week.
Well done. Yeah. I mean, it's no Mount Crested Butte, but, seems like you'll probably have an okay time.
Yeah, it'll be great.
What else should we talk about here?
Well, we do have other products.
Yeah.
And also brand new is our Dozer 1T UL shovel. Actually, we came out with a whole new line of shovels this year, our Dozer line, which is actually named after one of the super popular shovels we have already. But we have a whole lineup of Dozers. And the reason I'm showing you this one is because we think it's the lightest extendable aluminum shovel made. It comes from a whole family. This is just one of the products. Unfortunately, this year it was aluminum was a tough product to work with. So we just now started shipping shovels. But the 1TUL, you'll see it's made out of it's made out of 70-75 aluminum, which is very strong. So you can make it thinner, which saves weight. But it's also very brittle. So it takes a completely different construction method. Everything's riveted rather than welded together. And you'll see that we have a unique shaft shape. If you've ever held a lacrosse stick, a lacrosse stick, you're constantly pivoting in your hands like this. And that's what happens with a heavy load of snow sometimes, is it can kind of slip out of your hand and you have to grip it really tight. So we have kind of a lacrosse stick shaft on there to keep it really solid in your hands. We have what would you call a stomp edge. That's that flat area at the top of the blade, which is reinforced, and it's crenulated, which means it goes back and forth to reduce the impact on your boots when you're stomping on the blade to get through hard snow. So we call that our stomp edge. You also see that the front third of the blade is smooth, so that if you're making pit walls, if you're doing snow stability tests, you get a nice clean pit wall. And we have 3 size blades. We have the size 1, size 2, size 3. We have D grip, T grip, and we have our hoe mode system where you can put it into hoe mode, which is really effective for strategic shoveling. If you have people up front chopping, and you put people in the back with the hoe just to pull the chunks out the back.
So, and those handles are not interchangeable, are they?
No.
Okay. So that would be more of if you're going out with a crew, you have a guiding crew or something like that, you might, or I guess just your regular touring crew, you could conceivably have some folks going ahead and carrying or using different shovels.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And normally if you're in an excavation situation, you would leave the hoe shovel in the back where the person is hoeing, and you would rotate as people get tired and just leave the shovel in place. That's kind of a pro tip.
Pro tip
from Backcountry Access on strategic shoveling is leave your shovel in place when you rotate around.
Yep.
That way the hoe is always in the back.
Yep. Where else should we go here?
Well, With a shovel, you need a probe.
I hear that's true.
We've redesigned our probes recently, and just a couple of finer details, at the pro level, all of our probes our aluminum probes are laser etched. A lot of pros will use an extended column test cord to isolate the columns, and that can wear off the printing on a powder coated probe. So all of our high-end probes are laser etched, and they have big numbers on one side and little numbers on the other side. The big numbers are for when you want to find out how deep the victim is, so you know how big to make the excavation. Little numbers are if you're in a snow pit and you need to measure layers, so you can just turn it around and use it as a ruler. And we also think we have the fastest deployment system in the market. And our assembly system is actually a rod. So when you're probing, you're not going to get whipped in the face by a cord, which we've experienced too many times in avalanche courses. Mm-hmm. So that's our stealth probe lineup. We have 240, 270, 300, and 330 centimeters.
Mm-hmm. Not inches. No. What's next?
Well, the Tracker4.
Yeah.
This is what we call our workhorse transceiver. And the Tracker4, similar to our other transceivers, has what we call real-time display, super fast processing. It also has what we call real-time locking and unlocking. So if you have a multiple burial, we're very, very good at isolating signals based on which one's stronger. So you could just walk systematically through the debris and you're going to find everybody just based on signal strength. We're very, very good at doing that. Probably the best in the industry.
Back up for just a second. You said the Tracker4 is very good at identifying the stronger signal. Say more, why is that important?
Well, it's important because I would say the most important part of that is the real-time display and the fast processing. Most people, if they have an issue, it's in the fine search phase when they're bracketing like this, trying to, in the last 3 meters, just narrow down. And we're really fast because of our real-time display, and most people are panicking at that point.
Yep.
And if you have a delayed display, it's very, very frustrating for people. So the real-time display really comes in handy in the bracketing phase, the very last couple meters. So most multiple burials actually are not that much more complicated than single burials. If you have a last seen point for both victims, there's no reason to press buttons or mark or any of that. You just go to your last seen point and you're going to find them. And with real-time signal locking, that makes it even easier. When it gets complicated is if the victims are buried really close together. We call that a close proximity burial. In that case, you're going to need some kind of special function to be able to differentiate the signals from each other. So you could use our signal strength system or our what we call our no-nonsense multiple burial functions, which are big picture mode, where you press our options button and it shows you all the signals so you know where everybody is, and then you act accordingly. The next step would probably be, you're always going to want to dig the person up and get them an airway. But sometimes you can't do that. It's a deep burial, or maybe you have some people shoveling, and you can move on to the next victim. You can do that by suppressing the signal, and it'll bring you right to the next victim. We call that our no-nonsense multiple burial system.
So as people are trying to figure out which beacon that's on the market they ought to go with, what would your own case be for the Tracker4? Would you say that the primary point of differentiation would be when it comes down to the multiple burial function and accuracy?
I would say that our greatest asset and the point that we've been focused on ever since we introduced Tracker DTS in 1997 is ease of use, intuitive interface, no clutter. This person is that far away in this direction. We don't have extraneous icons coming up. We don't have error messages to contend with. You press the button, you search, you get a distance, you get a direction. We have a very clear, loud, bright LED display, which, like a supercapacitor, is impervious to the cold. LCD screens can slow down in the cold. Since we're the only North American transceiver manufacturer, we have colder weather here than they have in Europe. So we need to keep that in mind. So that's why we've been using LED, because it helps us maintain our real-time display. So all these things, real-time, super intuitive, simple, bright, loud interface is what Tracker is all about. You put it in a beginner's hands, they're going to find somebody. This is why a lot of the Avalanche schools and heli guiding operations will put trackers in their guests' hands because they know they'll be able to rescue the guide.
Pretty good rundown of the lineup. Anything else we should talk about before I let you go gear up and prepare for our ski day tomorrow?
Well, I would say that, we don't want to get too focused on product. We've always believed that product is just part of the equation, and that the people that buy our products need to get educated and they need to practice with the products. So it's really just part of the process, buying the product. So you'll see that we have lots of resources on our website about educating yourself. And of course, it's no substitute for getting on snow with a real avalanche course.
Yeah. And one of the things we're going to do tomorrow night is we've got a panel session here at the Blister Summit that as I'd been thinking through this and the mix of people that I wanted to have on this, I kind of came up with the title Backcountry Safety and Backcountry Safety Equipment, right? And I'm really looking forward to our conversation tomorrow night where you will be a part of the panel, and we have a lead Avi forecaster, and we have a working guide in the mix, and we have a professional athlete that is going to be bringing a different perspective. And I think that mix of people and that mix of perspectives coming in on where we are in terms of backcountry travel and education there, and the equipment and the Avi gear we're using, I'm really looking forward to seeing where that all shakes out. But I think what you've just said is a pretty good summation, that it is not just about having the right gear. There's other factors that you are by no means saying like those are irrelevant. Just have the right gear, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg. Well, thanks. It's been really good to meet you here. I really am looking forward to some laps tomorrow, and I appreciate you running us through some of the pieces in the BCA lineup.
Well, thanks for the invitation. Any excuse we can find to come down to Crested Butte, we're going to jump on. So we'll be back next year.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.